Good morning, early game crew. We're not bringing sexy back. We're backup quarterback. Yeah.
Quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Them quarterbacks don't know how to act.
Yeah. But we're not talking about the starters today. It's backup quarterback day.
It's almost like we've planned all this.
I would like to say that we did.
Okay, yeah, we did.
You know what? No one else is going to know the difference. No one else knows that these are randomized.
Yep, absolutely.
No one's listening right now.
But they will now because they're excited about the backup quarterbacks.
That's right. They heard that Justin Timberlake and they know exactly what's up. And that means it's backup quarterback day.
That might be the theme music for backup quarterbacks. It's backup quarterbacks.
Yeah. Because when your starter goes down, you need somebody to come in and fill the role.
Yes.
And last year, in our first year as a show, we had a dedicated backup quarterback day. So we were going to do it again this year. So we're going to. Year number 2 of a backup quarterback day in July for the offseason. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. And this year, backup quarterbacks, maybe a little more important than we thought last year. Mostly because we have another year where Lenore Sellers did have to leave a game early. In the last 2 years, where Lenore has been the starter, he has had at least miss a game or miss time in a game. In 2024, he was out for a couple of drives against Kentucky early on before returning to the game. Then against LSU, he gets hurt, misses an entire second half. Robbie Ashford has to play the entire Akron game. And then last season, midway through the second quarter, Lenore Sellers gets hurt. And Luke Doty comes in and has to play the rest of the game. And South Carolina's offense does not take advantage of even some of the red zone opportunities that they had in that game. They did not score with Luke Doty as the backup in that game. So the backup quarterback position is mildly important. Last year we were talking about transfer Aaron Nolan as maybe being the guy who was going to be the succession plan after Lenoris, assuming Lenoris was probably going to move on to the NFL after last season, but then last season happened. Aaron Nolan goes back out, goes to Memphis. Landon Duckworth is recruited. Luke Doty out of eligibility.
Finally.
I think.
Maybe.
I think. I know he's on the staff.
But his hair is never out of eligibility.
Never.
It was
Never
the
out
best
of style.
hair.
Never out of eligibility. His swag, never out of eligibility. Always going to be the coolest dude in the room. But you also have Cutter Woods, who is now in his second year as a college football player. Kid who came in, was a winner at Westside, won some state titles.
Also gray hair.
Also, all hair team. Is that a prerequisite for a backup quarterback?
I don't know, but I dig it. If my quarterback has long, flowy hair, I'm like, okay, what's up with this guy over here?
Did Charlie Whitehurst set a trend?
Justin Herbert.
Great hair. I think he's cut that off for the most part.
Well, here's the thing, and we will get to backup quarterbacks. I know you're waiting, but I want to make sure everybody understands that long hair does not equal good hair.
For some people, cannot pull it off.
It's not the same thing because the quarterback that won the national championship in the upstate, went in the first round, all that stuff, he's very good. I contend that he has long hair, but I don't know if he has good hair.
It's not. It is not. I've always not liked it.
It's long. I don't know if it's good though.
It's just, to me, it's always been very flat and limp. Like he maybe has very fine hair. So to me, he needs a sassy cut.
Some volume maybe.
He needs some volume, definitely.
Something in there.
He needs some help from a stylist, is what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I think he's got a good base.
Good base to work with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's got a lot to work with.
I think he needs some layers.
Yeah.
A layered cut.
I don't either. I have long hair, and all I know is that my ends are starting to split a little bit. I need to go get them cut.
Got to trim those. Got to get those right.
I got to get those right.
All I'm saying is just long hair does not necessarily equal good hair. It usually does, but not necessarily.
And it takes more work than it looks.
Yes.
I tell you.
No, it really does. And you know what? The conversation, we should have that with Terry Ford.
Subject matter expert.
Yes, he is a subject matter expert on this. Believe it or not, he had long locks at one point.
Back in his day. You may see him now and say, what do you mean, Elijah? He's got 5 hairs on his head, and they're all on the top, and they're all just about like yay big. But that actually is something that he could chime in with. chime in about. That is something that he could do.
But yes, Carter Woods, continuing the legacy.
Continuing the legacy, and he is the backup. At least the presumed backup, right? Now, if the trend follows this year, there will be some playing time for the backup quarterback, whether it is Landon Duckworth or Cutter Woods. So I wanted to look at both of those guys, right? To start, I guess we'll start with Cutter Woods because he actually got some playing time last year in terms of late game. Yeah, he did complete a pass against Oklahoma, and I actually went back and watched that play like 5 times yesterday.
Okay.
Pretty solid because we have a small sample size of him at the college level. We have the bombing through in the spring game. You take that with a grain of salt, but it is a live rep against an Oklahoma team. Oklahoma probably playing some backups at that point in the game because it was 26-7, and we're in the last 4 minutes of the game. The white flag's already been raised by South Carolina, but Oklahoma had some starters in there. It wasn't all backups, and he made a good read, left side of the field, read the coverage really well. Defensive back's playing the flat, safety's playing a little deep. It was pretty much like an option route there. Layered it perfectly, middle of the field, completed a 16-yard pass. Now, he did throw an interception last year, but I think there's a lot that you can look at with Cutter Woods and be intrigued with, especially if you go back and watch some of the high school stuff. Now, it's hard to find full games, so you can't go through and kind of nitpick a little bit, so you're kind of having to parse through highlights, and you don't find interceptions in highlight reels. But what you can find is at least a little bit of a taste of what that player does really well.
Yeah, and to be honest, there weren't a lot of interceptions, right? There was his full games were almost highlight-esque.
Yes.
Right? His full games basically were highlights.
He slung it across the yard
a lot. I mean, and I always tell you, I tell everybody, I put a very high value on. If you're supposed to be a premium high school quarterback, your team should be competing for a state championship because you touch the ball every play. You're obviously a superior athlete to everybody else on the field, and you should be able to raise the level of play for a community for like 3 or 4 years.
Oh, for sure.
It should be the sense where everybody in the community is like, we got this guy coming.
We have to win right now.
We're going to be good.
Yeah.
Our window has opened when this kid is coming through the system, and that's what Cutter did. I don't know if I know he won 1, went to 2 maybe.
Went to 2. I think he won 1, lost the other.
Yeah. Totally fine. That means for 2 years, for 3 years probably, your team was in the conversation. And I really feel that is something. If you give me a quarterback who's supposed to be a 5-star, 4-star guy, and his team has never even competed, to me, that's saying something. That could be saying something about the system, but to me, that's saying something about that guy. Just because the quarterback touches the ball, it's almost like a basketball player. If you have a 5-star basketball player, your team should be in the mix.
Oh, regardless of classification or anything like that.
Your team should be in the mix just because they're supposed to be that much better. So Cutter does have that qualification, in my opinion.
You know who didn't have that qualification for a guy who played at a 2A or a 1 or 2A high school in Tennessee? Ty Simpson. Team was mid, touched the ball every play. Hence my skepticism when he was coming out of high school.
Has he won anything?
Nope.
He has not won anything, and we'll see. But that may be some ammo for my argument.
Just something to keep in the back of the mind there. But Cutter Woods did win a lot in high school, and when you watch a lot of the tape from high school, it's a lot of really good layering of the ball. The things that I could note was, for a high school quarterback, he layered the ball really well. He's able to drop balls in pockets, be able to make some tight throws. Also, he threw over coverages really well. There were a lot of times where the safeties were playing about 20 yards back from the line of scrimmage. He would just throw over them, right? A lot of explosive plays happen from their help on the back end not being back far enough because he could just outthrow them, but you don't want to play up too far because then they'll still pick you apart that way. He overthrew coverages really well, and I thought that was, at the high school game, you don't see that a ton. That's some stuff that you could probably go to a game on a Friday night and somebody's outthrowing coverages, like cover 3 coverages. You're like, oh, okay, well, then this person can have the arm to play at the college level.
Yeah, and that's what you want to make sure you see, and I think it's very important because this is the first. Last year, we came into this situation as you laid out. We have the luxury of knowing who our starting quarterback is, so that's not the quarterback battle. But the quarterback battle is going to be for who is the backup. And last year, I think maybe should have been a clue, could have been a clue into what the year was going to hold, because it was disappointing that Luke Doty was the winner of that competition.
Yeah.
This is not about Luke. It's more about Aaron Nolan. It's more about Mike Schuler. It's more about Shane Beamer. It's all about the system that Luke ended up being the winner of that competition, because that showed me that we had not made any progress in the quarterback room in the time that we had.
And Cutter Woods' readiness at the time, too. I think because when you look at his body type, I think you could look at it and say his physical maturity probably needed a year, at least, right? A year of being in an SEC training program.
He's a taller, slender-esque.
He's got a very slender build. And one thing that you notice, too, if you go back and watch a lot of the clips from Westside High School, he's not under pressure a lot. They had a pretty good offensive line.
Right.
I mean, I watched like 11 minutes of plays.
Bombs away, and I don't think he was under pressure with the exception of maybe 2 or 3 plays. Now, when he was under pressure, he was calm and collected, but it's different facing SEC pressure than it is 4A South Carolina High School League levels of pressure, right? The men that are chasing you at the SEC level are going to also be ripping the heads off of quarterbacks at the NFL level. A lot of them will be. So it's a lot different, right? And your time to process is a lot shorter. So there's probably a lot of that he just had to get used to at the college level. Probably not ready right off the bat to be able to do that, right? So really, to me, the disappointment was more from Aaron Nolan, because he's been playing college football, right? Maybe not in actual live action on a field, but he's been in practices. He's gone through camps. That was probably, to me, where more of the disappointment was that he wasn't ready to be the backup quarterback, or did not show that he was capable of being the guy to get the snaps whenever Lenoris went down in the Vanderbilt game and you needed somebody to finish 2.5 quarters of a football game for you. So when it comes to Cutter Woods, my thing is, how much more physically mature did his body get, right? How much more ready is he for SEC action if he were to have to play? And how is he at handling pressure? Can he handle when a pocket collapses? Even if this offensive line is improved, it's still going to take being able to be calm under pressure. You will still face some level of pressure throughout the course of a football game. Yeah, and that's going to be what the look is. Now, the other part of this conversation, as you brought up earlier, is what's up with Landon Duckworth? Somebody who we've heard about for, it seems like, 5 years now. We've been hearing about this young man for a long time. They finally get him in the building. What are the expectations for him? Is he expected to come in and compete? Is he doing the redshirt year? What does that look like? That's something, a conversation that also needs to be had.
I'll tell you this. When I watched a lot of the Landon Duckworth stuff yesterday, it's fun.
Okay.
It's fun. He is definitely more of the improv playmaker. He is definitely more of the go outside the pocket and make plays happen. He also has an incredibly wicked arm. That ball slings off his hands whenever he throws down the field. And he makes, I think Cutter was better at maybe at layering the ball. Landon Duckworth would fit that thing into some tight windows. And he had to run around a lot more. I would say his offensive line in high school, not as good as Cutter Woods. He had to make a lot of stuff happen. And to his credit, he did. Now, again, in these highlights, you don't see what the mistakes they make, so you're really only getting a little piece of it, but you can get maybe a bit of info about how good they are in certain situations. And one thing that I could come away with was Landon Duckworth is a really good improv playmaker when he had to be at the high school level.
Well, the thing about that is awesome, but also same thing you talked about with Cutter. You're improving against not SEC dudes. So those windows that you used to fit them in, they're not there anymore. Those dudes you used to run away from, you can't do that anymore.
He's going to have to learn that margin of error is a lot different.
Right. There is a little bit of an adjustment there. So there's still questions that need to be asked. And I'm sure he'll find that out very quickly during camp. Like, what I used to be able to do, can't quite do.
Yeah, that's why I've learned for a long time. Always take high school tape with a grain of salt because of the increase of competition that is naturally going to occur.
Exponential increase.
A large one. Yeah, it is a completely different world, but there's still a lot of fun stuff there. But the big difference is their styles of quarterbacking play. And coming up next, we'll get to Ray on the phone, but we'll also answer the question, does it matter if your backup plays the same way as your starter? We'll discuss next.
All right, guys, football season is almost here, and it's time to get yourself ready for the new year. You've probably been working out. Maybe you haven't reached the goals that you thought you were going to hit by now. Well, maybe you need to give Dr. Dan Baltnight a call. Dr. Dan Baltnight is a respected local physician, and he'll help you reach all of your goals. This isn't some nameless, faceless online clinic. Dr. Baltnight personally tailors your treatment based on your labs and your symptoms. At the men's clinic, you'll find a non-threatening, comfortable environment where your concerns are welcome. Many of you all out there don't want to go to the doctor. We understand, but at the men's clinic, you'll find that it's a little bit different than most clinics. The best part about going to the men's clinic, your initial consultation with Dr. Dan Baltnight is absolutely free. Come in, get your T levels checked. You have nothing to lose and only your best self to gain. So don't wait. Call him at 803-875-MENS or visit him online at mensclinicsc.com.
Doesn't appear we have any accidents to report. Okay, totally with that, sharing that news. And it is going to be maybe not quite as hot today and might see a little relief later in the week, but 90 for our high, mostly sunny today. Sunshine really for the rest of this week. 87 for the high tomorrow, 90 on Friday. And is at this point, maybe the next chance for rain coming in about Saturday night. Right now, it is 80.
will take the snap. He is a converted quarterback. Joyner rolling to his right, launches off his back foot, and completes. Jaheim Bell has call.
Oh, buddy. You want to talk about backup quarterbacks? How about one that is your running back? What a luxury to say, hey, you know what? Hey, we need you. We need to throw some passes.
We needed it.
And they needed it that game.
Huge game. Seminal moment in the Shane Beamer story.
Also counts as a game stealer.
Double.
We're going to have a very large Venn diagram between game stealers and quality backup quarterbacks. It is backup quarterback day here on the early game. And we'll go out to the AAA Heating and Air phone lines, 803-404-6100. Our pal Ray is on the line with us this morning. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning, Elijah. Good morning, Preston. And, of course, good morning, Jen. God, it's a good conversation here. I'll tell you, whoever that backup quarterback is, if it's Cutter or if it's Duckworth, and I believe Browse has a relationship with Duckworth because he was trying to recruit him. You know, when he was Duckworth came out of Baton Rouge, somewhere like that, Louisiana.
Yeah, I think Duckworth's from Alabama.
Oh, Alabama. Okay, but still he tried to recruit him. Well, he's at the Central Time.
Yes.
You know, just a few
In the
miles
footprint.
off.
He was in the footprint.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, I will tell you one thing. Whoever it is, not only do you have to have an arm, you better have wheels. Because I can tell you right now, man, when you're going up against Bama and Georgia and Tennessee and the likes of those teams, those defensive ends coming off the edge, it's not like playing high school. And I'll tell you this right now, man, I'm hoping that offensive lines improve because what Sellers had to go through last year, I would have wished that on my worst enemy, Preston.
Agreed.
I mean, that was just, you talking about a suicide job? I mean, my God, like I've said more than once, on the shotgun, the time when that ball snapped, those defensive linemen, I swear, Preston, were parallel with that football. I mean, it's just, it was just crazy. So I'm waiting to see what Browse can do. Hopefully, he'll have this offense going and it will look nothing like last year. That's what I'm hoping for. And, you're talking about, like Jordan, how he could do everything. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see the special on the 4-Letter Network about Hines Ward. Oh, my God. He's talking about a guy who could do everything, and just an incredible story about his childhood being, mixed race. His father, of course, was African-American. His mother was Korean. And, oh, my God, it'll bring tears to you guys. I really recommend it to anybody out there to watch that show about Hines Ward. But anyway, be interesting how it unfolds. Like I said, whoever that quarterback is, man, he better have a set of wheels. That's all I got to say. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Ray.
Appreciate it, Ray.
Mr. Hines Ward,
Yeah, we'll definitely, maybe we'll get to that. There might be a little viewing party. That might be something, SEC football.
I like that.
We could do something like that. Your eyes didn't deceive you. He was sacked 40-plus times, hit and pressured over 100 times. So, yes, that is exact. The numbers support exactly what you saw, Ray. But Ray, I don't know if he was in our grid, but that leads kind of directly into the conversation that we're having about the idea of does your quarterback have to be a carbon copy of the starting? Does the backup quarterback have to be the same as the starting quarterback? I think it's a very interesting conversation.
It's, I think, an awesome philosophical discussion to have, too, because in theory, to me, if your backup quarterback plays more like your starter, then it's less adjusting you have to do to your offense. But what if you're in a situation where somebody, let's just say Cutter Woods and Landon Duckworth are battling it out for the backup quarterback spot, and the coaching staff, Shane Beamer, Kendall Briles, everybody on that offensive coaching staff believes that Cutter Woods is better right now, right, or more college ready right now. And something does happen to Lenoris, and you have to make a decision on who to play. Even though Landon Duckworth on tape looks like he plays more like Lenoris because there's a lot of escapability with Landon. And as we've seen from the offensive line troubles that this program's had the last few years, escapability is an admirable trait. But also, if you're doing a lot of design quarterback runs, one thing I saw a lot more in Landon's tape than Cutter's tape were designed runs, +1 design runs, right, where the running back is going into block. You're not going to do that a lot with Cutter Woods. If you're incorporating a lot of those +1 design runs, and that is a central part of your offense, is it worth playing somebody who has a completely different skill set, even if you deem them to be better or more ready right now.
To harp on the past, I'm sorry to have to keep doing this, but essentially the question was last year, nobody said, hey, Luke Doty should be the backup quarterback. But since he was the backup quarterback, when he did get a chance to play, the thing that Luke Doty and Lenore Sellers had in common were their legs. Mm-hmm. They were both athletes. I know.
Sneaky.
I know.
A little sneaky.
I know it's tough to believe. And I feel like Mike Shula couldn't even get that through his mind. He was like, what are we doing here? But that's why Luke Doty was recruited, because he was a dual threat guy. And they didn't use it at all. They didn't do any of it. And it was like, it's right there for you. He came from receiver. He's a dual threat quarterback. This is all the stuff that's in his arsenal, and they chose to do none of it, which is just another failure on that part. Set that aside.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah. Set that aside. One of the benefits of having Kendall Browse is that he's been able to coach various styles of quarterbacks. So if whoever the backup quarterback is, Kendall can get into his bag and call plays that are appropriate for that quarterback. He's not stuck to a mold of calling for one particular guy.
Yeah, he was calling plays for Josh Hoover at TCU the last couple of years. Josh Hoover probably in the same mold as Cutter Woods. Like Cutter Woods, I mean, can run if he needs to. It's not like, I will say Cutter does kind of have, from what I've seen of him, some Peyton Manning strides. If you ever watched Peyton Manning tape at Tennessee when he was playing college ball, the man took some long strides down the field, right? But whenever he was called upon to run, which was seldom. But in a situation like this year, would it behoove you to play somebody who plays more like the starter to just for, I guess, continuity's sake? Like, if we want to use a good example, how Robbie Ashford was used when Lenoris went down in 2024. So in that LSU game, you didn't see... I mean, you saw a lot of maybe the similar offense that you would have with Lenoris in the game anyway. The play calling didn't seem like it really changed a ton. In the Akron game, it absolutely didn't change. And then we have what we now will always know here as the Robbie Ashford game, because he handled the duties of a starting quarterback for the entire game, and he looked like Mike Vick out there, and it was a lot of fun. One of my favorite games from that year, underrated game from that year because of how he went in there and took care of business. It's an interesting one that I don't have a great answer to. But I think what you mentioned is probably the most valuable part of this, is that Kendall Briles can probably adjust a lot better than a lot of other coordinators, because he is one of the better play callers in the sport.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of, okay, if I have my whole play sheet now that Lenoris is not here, maybe there's just some things that I will not be able to call. Or maybe if it's Landon, maybe there's some things I need to turn up some more because I need to help him out. I don't want him making as many reads. Maybe I need to utilize those legs some more. Maybe it's a Cutter. I need to turn the dial over here on the drop back pass angle. So I think that's all within Kendall Briles' system, and it's just a matter of being a capable OC and being able to get those things done and putting your players in the best position to win.
My favorite thing about what Kendall Briles has done historically that I think makes it almost backup quarterback proof, tempo. Tempo is still going to be hard to face if you have somebody that is more of a pocket passer or a dual threat, right? And I think especially if you're a pocket passer too, this offense can help you, because if you get in a rhythm and you're going tempo, you're going no huddle, you're calling plays fast, and you're catching the defense just a little off guard, and you're a smart enough quarterback to figure out where the weak spots are and where the misalignment is defensively, you're going to be able to move the ball a little bit. And I think that's going to help somebody like Cutter Woods a lot, especially if he does not have, I mean, of course, Landon Duckworth has no snaps. If Cutter does not have a ton of snaps, it's going to help him a lot. But for the future, right, there's a discussion when you talk about backup quarterbacks for the future. Is there a quarterback in waiting right now? And is the era of the quarterback waiting dead in college football? We have some examples next.
Pressing in for Cato's Power Equipment. Cato's Power Equipment has been family-owned and serving the Midlands since 1983. That's over 40 years. And third-generation owner Ben Cato provides top-notch service, great deals, and the mom-and-pop values that you love. Ben is determined to raise the standard of sales, service, and retail. And at Cato's, they're proud to offer a wide selection of new and pre-owned mowers, tractors, and more. So if you're ready to invest in something new, the friendly team is there to make the process easy, help you choose the right equipment, find financing options, and keep your gear running strong with expert service and parts. Whether you're a weekend warrior or a seasoned landscaping pro, Cato's has you covered. So swing by Cato's Power Equipment today or call them at 803-254-3711. That's 803-254-3711.
One accident to let you know about, and that's Prescott Road at Ames Road. And 90 is the high we're expecting today, 87 tomorrow, back to 90 on Friday. Mostly sunny the rest of this week. The next chance for some rain coming in Saturday afternoon or evening. Some thunderstorms are possible then, and Sunday as well. Right now, though, we're starting off the morning with fair skies and a nice big moon. It is 80.
He's 4 of 8 with 1 interception so far this year.
And he's not had a pass. Look at this. 4th down. He's not had a snap. Here comes that pressure.
Lofts it up, looking for Kelly. Touchdown! Can you believe it?
I'm pretty sure you can imagine just by hearing he has not thrown a snap all year. Lofts it towards the end zone. I think you know exactly who threw that football.
Shout out to my guy. One of the best plays, one of the greatest plays in Gamecock history.
I almost was able to watch it. It's a little granular with the old JP going.
Put on that JP vision quickly, and it's like, man, I can't see anything.
Oh, that game was, in terms of how it was shot for TV, shot with a toaster.
Yes.
Right? JP brought their toasters to the game, recorded it.
JP Classic, 12 o'clock, South Carolina, Mississippi State.
I mean,
That's
brutal.
delicious.
It's one of those, and it makes you go in there and like when you go to the eye doctor and you have your glasses off. What you're seeing right then before they fine tune, that's the broadcast.
How's this one look? How's this one look?
Better?
No.
Worse? No. Keep going.
I love watching a game like that and be like, oh, come on, ref, there's a hold. You don't know there's a hold. You can't see.
On the same note, the shame you feel when they flip it up to the big one, it's like, I can't. I still can't see it. Can you see it now? No.
Yeah. One of my, I think, most of the biggest moments are that realized, because I was telling Terry and Elijah this yesterday, my eyes used to be really, really bad, like almost legally blind bad. And I would go in, glasses would be off, and you look at the thing, and they're like, okay, so what letter can you see? And literally, it was just gray. Like, I couldn't even make out the big E or whatever. It was that bad.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So when you say that, you can't see it. Mm-hmm.
What letter can you see? Letters.
Yeah. I thought.
None of them.
I think you just painted a gray circle. I had no idea. Yeah.
Sir, these are cave drawings.
Exactly. So, but it's funny. You know what? Oh, in looking at this Jefferson Pilot real quick, that's where they got the idea for Minecraft.
I could see it.
As far as the pixelated look.
Definitely blocks.
Whoever invented Minecraft or Roblox, they're like, you know what? After watching Jefferson Pilot Sports SEC football games in the early 2000s.
This looks pretty good.
This is great. This is great. This is what we need. Long live Jefferson Pilot.
Absolutely.
Usually a popular winner on this show, but going to continue to be a winner today. That was Eric Henry on Jefferson Pilot, right? Maybe one of the more memorable games you've ever had watching JP Sports on an early Saturday noon game in the fall, because it's backup quarterback day. I don't think Eric was ever considered a starter in waiting.
No.
But he played his role really well, called upon, had to make a throw, and he made the most of that opportunity. But in college football, in today's college football, the whole starter in waiting thing doesn't seem as popular as it used to be before player movement, right? Before a lot more freedom in player movement. Now you see a lot more quarterbacks who are transferring in and are rentals, right? You see that especially in the SEC a lot too this year. There's going to be maybe a few examples. Kenny Minchie at Kentucky, I think only has one more year of eligibility left. He'll be a one-and-done guy. There are going to be other players that you see, you're watching in college football across the nation that are going to be one-and-done guys in terms of just they're there for one more year. It's their last year of eligibility. The school that they're playing for didn't necessarily have a succession plan in place. It was maybe we'll see what we can get in the portal and we'll duke it out from there. But is the era of quarterback in waiting dead? And I wanted to go and look through all of the teams that are going to contend for a national title this year and get a decent sample size and see exactly how they got their quarterbacks, right? Did their quarterback have to wait behind somebody? Were they on backup duty at any point in their career? And I think what I found surprised me. And it's the fact that the era of the quarterback in waiting is not dead. If anything, the quarterback in waiting succession plan pays off for a lot of teams. Ohio State, for example. Julian Sands started his career at Ohio State. He was originally at Alabama, was a backup, transferred to Ohio State. He was sitting behind Will Howard. And then he got his chance to be a starter this past season. Notre Dame, C.J. Carr redshirted behind Riley Leonard, who was a transfer guy, a one-and-done, a rental. But then C.J. Carr and Kenny Minchie battled it out for the starting job. Carr got the job, didn't give it up, and is now going to be considered a Heisman favorite going into next year. Oregon, they have kind of created a different model for the quarterback
different system going
in waiting, right? Dante Moore was a 5-star recruit who originally played at UCLA, got in Chip Kelly's doghouse, and eventually transferred to Oregon, where he sat behind Dylan Gabriel. And now Dylan Raiola has transferred, former 5-star quarterback at Nebraska, has transferred to Oregon, will be the quarterback in waiting behind Dante Moore, because Dante Moore will be a first-round draft pick next year. Indiana's a little bit of an outlier because Fernando Mendoza was a one-and-done, transferred in from Cal. Georgia, Gunnar Stockton was a starting quarterback in waiting behind Carson Beck. Texas Tech, last year, Baron Morton was a starting quarterback behind, or he was a backup quarterback behind a slew of guys. There was like 3 guys that played in the time that Baron Morton was there, including Tyler Shuck.
Okay. I just saw him run a touchdown just now.
Tyler Shuck. He played behind Tyler Shuck a little bit at Texas Tech, but he eventually had to wait till he was a starter, and he was a starter for a couple of years. And now, because the whole Brendan Sorsby thing, Will Hammond is going to be the starter, and he was not planned on being the starting quarterback in waiting. It just happened to turn out that way. For Miami, there's a little bit of a different model, right? Carson Beck transferred in. Cam Ward transferred in. Those guys were one-and-dones there. Darian Mensah is transferring in from Duke. He'll be a one-and-done this year. Alabama, though. Ty Simpson behind Bryce Young and Jalen Milroe this past year, and now Keelan Russell, the presumed starter, or Austin Mack, no matter who it is, both those guys were on the roster last season backing up Ty Simpson. For Oklahoma, John Mateer transferred in, so it's a little bit different. At Texas A&M, Marcel Reed was supposed to be the quarterback in waiting behind Connor Wegman. Got his start a little bit earlier than expected when Wegman got benched. For Ole Miss, the plan was for Austin Simmons to be the quarterback in waiting when Jackson Dart was the starter. Austin Simmons just so happened to get hurt in the second game of the year. Trinidad Chambliss came in, and Austin Simmons got wally-pipped. And then if you look at somebody like Texas, Arch Manning was behind Quinn Ewers for a little bit. He was a clear quarterback in waiting. And those are really all, I think, your contenders in college football. And Preston's got them out. They're the Garnet glasses.
I heard you naming a bunch of schools. I heard you naming their quarterback situations. I heard you talking about quarterbacks in waiting. You might have left off one local quarterback who was indeed a quarterback in waiting.
Lenora Sellers was a quarterback in waiting.
And maybe that puts us in a position where we have one of the things in common with all of these other elite teams is that we have a quarterback who was able to be developed, even though there was for 3 different offensive coordinators. He was able to spend time within the same program, and we have a quarterback who was a quarterback in waiting, correct?
Correct.
That's a good thing, correct?
That is a good thing. That if you follow the trend of who the contenders are in college football, if you want to be in the playoff or win a championship, the most commonly used way to get your quarterback is if they develop behind a starter. And you have a program that has really good starting quarterback play in which somebody is waiting behind them to eventually take the job. That's the trend. There are very few exceptions, with Indiana being an exception, with Miami being an exception, but almost everybody else here that was in the playoff last year is going to contend for it this year had a quarterback in waiting. That era is not dead, folks. Preston Thorne, what's better than 1 quarterback on the field?
2.
2 quarterbacks on the field. We're going to get really weird with it coming up next year on the early game. Preston, let's get weird.
Let's do it.
That's how I want to start off every segment. But what's better than one quarterback on the field at a time?
Two?
Two.
That was a question mark at the end of my voice.
Oh, you didn't say it with enough conviction.
Two.
Say it with your chest.
Two.
Two. Now, this is just a silly thing, too, because it's backup quarterback day. And my favorite thing I think I've ever seen any college football coach do is have formations with two quarterbacks on the field at the same time. It is unconventional. It's tricky. It causes a lot of misdirection. And this is a Lance Leipold and Andy Kotelnicki appreciation segment.
Kendall Browse jumps in this pool sometimes too, right? He has.
I might have missed it.
I think he has.
If he has,
I think he did a little bit of that at Arkansas. A little bit.
Oh, buddy.
Think a little bit.
I think he might. Now that I think about it, I think he might have once or twice.
I think he has.
Because that's when it gets fun. That's when it gets a lot of fun. I was watching earlier, just in between, segments. There's clips. It was a Kansas, and I can't remember who it was they were playing, because I was so distracted by, I think it was Kansas and maybe in Oklahoma, where it's Jalen Daniels, not Jaden Daniels, right? Two different quarterbacks. Jalen Daniels and Jason Bean in the backfield at the same time, takes the snap. I think Bean takes the snap out of the shotgun, hands it off, or fakes the handoff to Daniels, kind of curls out wide, comes back to the right side of the field. Daniels throws a block, and then it's a sail concept on the other side of the field, picked up like 15 yards. And there was so much misdirection. Like, he had three receivers that would have been open because the defense bit so much on the fake handoff, and Kansas did so much of that. It was so much fun. Can a man dream? Is there a position in which we could pull something off like that here? I don't know if we have the personnel quarterback wise.
That's where you get limited, because you need the personnel. So you need somebody like a Pharaoh or somebody along those lines, somebody that maybe played quarterback in high school. Maybe they're not necessarily a starting quarterback, but you need somebody like that. And I don't know if we have particularly that person on the roster.
DeCarry Joyner have been perfect.
Yes,
for that.
he's the perfect candidate for that. Or if you just want to get real crazy with it and go actual double quarterbacks, you could get weird with maybe Cutler and Lenoris. That could get fun, right?
It could get fun.
This would make a defensive coordinator pull his hair out if he had any left. If Clayton had any hair on his head, he would pull it out, because this would drive you nuts, because it's something that you just have to prepare for. It's like they're not going to do it, but if they do.
We've seen them do it once in a non-conference game early in the year, and we got to account for it.
That's ridiculous.
Like Cutter Woods taking a snap from the shotgun. Lenoris is technically out wide, goes into motion, a little pitch back, rolls to the side. Maybe nobody accounts for Cutter Woods. Kind of like, the Tom Brady play in the Super Bowl where they lost to the Eagles, except Tom Brady dropped the ball. Which is classic. Maybe not an athletic move. Drop one in the bucket. Who knows? I've got creative ideas. I've gotten weird enough in terms of my one play calling career.
How many yards did you average?
That was was it 39? I already forgot. 29 yards.
29 yards.
29 yards per play.
There's a whole play concept off you run off, like the Philly special concept. There's a whole series of like 3 or 4 other plays that you could run just based on that action that you could do. You give a fake handoff to Lenoris. Does he run? Does he throw? There's throwbacks. There's all type of stuff you could do with that for sure.
Sometimes I get like in a mood where I'm like, okay, how weird can you get with a 2 quarterback system? I wish I had more freedom like on the video games to do that. Like, how weird could I get in terms of designing this play? And I start sounding like Henry Winkler from The Waterboy, where he's the coach and he's trying to figure out, he lost his notebook of plays and he's trying to draw them up on the chalkboard. He's like, we'll run the fake. No, we'll fake the fake. I feel like that's how I sound. I'm just sitting at a whiteboard in my house. Like, how weird can I get with this? I'm not going to use this for
time out.
anything.
When you're at a whiteboard at your house?
I do have a whiteboard at my house, yes.
Nerd alert!
I do have a whiteboard at my house, usually for reminders.
Go outside, nerd. Get out. Go.
But I do like drawing up plays on it. I do just like sitting there and just kind of getting in my own little world, being like, oh, if I had 2 quarterbacks here, what could you do with that? How much fun would that be? How much fun would that be?
And he's doing that while he has the Waterboy helmet on that has, the tube that, the cooler with the tube so you can just drink as he goes.
That's some high quality H2O.
Yeah.
my poor fiance walks in and be like, okay, we got to get you outside. Come on, buddy. Time for a walk.
You're vitamin D deficient.
Yeah, which I am actually. Last checkup, not great. Not great on the vitamin D front. We're great everywhere else. We're going to live forever.
That's why you got to make sure she has a nice ring. So when she sees you drawing plays on the whiteboard, she's like, oh, okay.
She looks at it and it's like, all right.
I can do this.
It's fine. Somebody's coming over. We have company. Elijah, put the whiteboard away. Put the whiteboard away. We have company.
Unless we're playing Pictionary.
But you don't understand. If you have two quarterbacks, you can totally have the defense go misdirected in one way and completely have sail routes on the other side that are going to be wide open because they're playing the handoff.
But don't forget, I could take half of everything if you keep doing this.
Okay, fine. I'll put the whiteboard away. Oh, hour number 2 coming up next. Big Ten Media Days. Stuff's happening.
Still working that earlier slowdown, Prescott Road at Ames Road. And we're going to see sunshine for the next few days, which will be nice. 90 for the high and 87 tomorrow, 90 on Friday. Humidity a little higher today than it will be for the next few days. But right now, starting off the morning, it is 80.
Hour number 2 of the early game starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. Today is backup quarterback day, and we'll continue with the backup quarterback theme in the next segment for the morning meeting, where we'll get real nostalgic. But this week is Big Ten Media Days week. SEC Media Days this past week, Big Ten Media Days this week. There's a couple of things to discourse here. One is the Big Ten's dominance in winning the national championship the last 3 years. The last 3 champions in college football, 3 Big Ten schools in 3 straight years. Michigan beating Washington. Washington now a Big Ten school. Not at the time, they are now. Ohio State beating Notre Dame. And then the next season, this past year, Indiana beating Miami. So the Big Ten's got 3 titles in a row, and there we'll let you hear it. I don't know if you've seen any of the clips, Preston, from the podiums, but you know what's sitting right next to the podium for every coach that goes up there and speaks? The College Football Playoff National Championship Trophy.
Yeah, and that's fair. That's fair.
It is fair.
Because we SEC, that was us.
Yep.
And so turnabout is fair play. Play on. I'm not mad at it.
No, you earned the right to get to do that.
Now you, Pat Fitzgerald, or whoever the head coach is at Purdue, you didn't earn that.
Barry Odom. Yeah, no, Barry. Not you.
That wasn't you, but since you're part of the collective, you get to share, you get to sit under the same shade.
It's like the LeBron clip. Your teammates can say that, you can't. Not you.
Right.
Anybody but you.
Right. I don't want to hear Pat Fitzgerald up there talk about we like you didn't. We didn't do anything.
We?
Yeah.
Pat, are you French?
Yeah.
What are you talking about here? There is no we in this equation. Barry, there's no we in this equation. Greg Schiano, there's no we in this equation.
And that's kind of the point with the Big Ten is that, yes, they are extremely top-heavy and very talented at the top, but the bottom is garbage.
Buns.
And that's the argument that we're having. SEC is more overall better.
Better collection of good teams.
But maybe the Big Ten is better at the top. Maybe.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you look even at the 3 teams that are national title contenders this year in the Big Ten, I would say that classification exists within Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana. And even though I don't expect Indiana to go back-to-back, especially with all that they have to replace, that is still a team that maybe on the line of scrimmage is going to be just as good as anybody in the country. And that alone is going to get them, I think, good enough for 9 wins. I think Michigan has a chance to be really good this year because of Kyle Whittingham. But I can't help but think that Oregon is maybe my easier pick to win that league, even though I think they were picked by the media to be second. Phil Steele has them third. I do really believe that this is Oregon's year to win that league.
With the scheduling in and outs, is there an Oregon and Ohio State head-to-head regular season matchup?
Let me double check that. I want to say that there was not.
Okay.
But for them it is so hard because it does change on such a like a year-to-year basis. Oregon this year does have to play at Ohio State. Yeah, November 7th. Oregon has to go at Ohio State. The thing that might keep Oregon from winning it isn't anything to do with how their team's constructed. They've got a lot of returning talent coming back. That running back room is insanely talented. They don't have like a lot of cumulative yards from last year. Like Jordan Davison ran for 667, but he ran for 6 yards a carry, right? De'Aaron Hill only ran for 656. He ran for 8.7 yards per carry last year because Jordan Whittington was getting a lot of snaps. That's maybe the best running back by committee room you will find in college football. It was last year, and it will be this year too. Of course, we all know about Dante Moore. The guy who transferred from UCLA, was a first-time starter last year, would have been the second quarterback picked in the NFL draft if he decided to go into the draft. Instead, he decided to stay. He'll be a Heisman favorite going into the season. Evan Stewart, a guy who's been there for a couple of years now from A&M, was hurt last year. Back at receiver. Guys like DeCorian Moore, really good receiver, about 500-yard guy last year, but they spread the ball around, too. That's the thing, is they spread the ball around a lot on offense. This is not an offense, if you're a wide receiver, you want to go to win the Biletnikoff, right? You go to Oregon to be part of a winning team and to be one of the 7 or 8 guys that's catching passes in that offense. Tight end position, they're really good. They just reloaded. Yeah, they lost Kenyon Sadiq to the NFL draft. He's a first-round pick. Jamari Johnson at tight end, they love just as much as Sadiq last year. But what I love about Oregon this year that's maybe different than other Oregon teams in the past, I think they are more sound on the offensive and defensive lines. I think that's probably their strength of this team is in the trenches. And if you are just judging preseason football teams by how good they're going to be in the trenches, you could pencil in Oregon, I think, to be the more trusted team in this conference over Ohio State because of how many players Ohio State has to replace on the defensive side.
So when you look at the conference as a whole, you kind of do the tier situation, right? And you put people in certain tiers, upper class, and as on the grid we have who is in the upper class. And right now we have Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon.
Feel good about that. Yeah.
Michigan's a question mark, even though I think they stumbled their way into having a better situation.
Oh, boy, did
somehow or another, right?
Boy, did they.
Somehow or another, it all worked out for the good. Congratulations to you. But there's one program and one coach who's not in this conversation, and I think this is getting to be really interesting about him not being even mentioned.
Is it the coach that was that you could probably say is on the hottest seat nationally?
I would argue that I guess he is because he's just not part of any conversations.
You thinking what I'm thinking here?
Yes, I see. Yes, we are. We're thinking the same thing.
We're thinking of the University of Southern California Trojan football team. And that coach is Lincoln Riley.
Almost becoming an afterthought.
For sure. And, well, this is the now or never year for them. And you wouldn't have thought so because you thought maybe one of the years that Caleb Williams was there that it's a now or never year for them, right? When he first got to Southern Cal, he got to bring Caleb with him from Oklahoma, and it was instant success, right? They get to a Pac-12 championship game, and they got Kyle Whittinghammed. Congratulations, Lincoln. He's in your conference now, right? You can't escape.
Yeah,
the unescapable.
You can't run from good coaches. I don't know if that's what you were trying to do.
Well, if that's what you're trying to do, I hate to break it to you. You have failed in that regard, right? The SoCon's that way. If you want to run away from high quality competition, national championship level. But to me, if you look at Lincoln Riley's track record, you look at 2022 year one, they go 11-3, lose the Pac-12 title game, lose to Tulane in the Cotton Bowl. This type of stuff still matters to me. 2023, 8-5. 2024, 7-6. Last season, 9-4. Is that what they paid Lincoln Riley all that money for?
Is that what he left Oklahoma for?
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I don't think you make a move like that so you can have back-to-back seasons of 8-5 and 7-6, and your best non-Caleb Williams quarterback year is a 9-win season. Don't think that's a show up for. That's not what you go to Southern Cal for. This year, though, there will be no excuses because they return 15 starters on both on offense and defense combined. 15 starters. This is maybe the best that they've been at the line of scrimmage in terms of talent and experience. Quarterback is another full year in this system. Jaden Maiava can sling the ball. He may be a little turnover prone at times, maybe not to the extreme in terms of the discussions we've had in this conference about John Mateer, but Jaden Maiava, high risk, high reward quarterback. They've got some good receivers. They have to replace Mekhi Lemon. Anytime you're replacing a Bolitnikoff winner, your wide receiver room won't get better. It may be a little deeper, and they still have some really good talent, and they've got 3 running backs that they could possibly use in a rotation, especially with Wayman Jordan, who is, I think, a really solid running back. This may be his best defensive group that he's had since he's been here, on paper. So to me, if Southern Cal isn't legitimately competing for the Big Ten title this year, what are you doing paying Lincoln Riley all that money?
Looking at their schedule.
Oh, I love playing the schedule game.
Let's play a schedule game real quick.
All right. They get to really ease into it. San Jose State's the opener. Fresno State's the second game. Louisiana, September 12th. You go at Rutgers. Then your season starts because then you have to go. You don't have to go anywhere. You host Oregon on September 26th. That's a big one.
Bank it.
Biggest game of Lincoln Riley's career?
Correct.
Oh, yes. I love playing this game. Biggest game of Lincoln Riley's career, September 26th. Then you get Washington at home, October 3rd. Washington should be pretty good. I don't know how high that ceiling is, but Washington, I think, is firmly in that upper middle class of the Big Ten. You get them at home, at least. October 10th, you travel to Penn State. Who knows what Penn State is?
We don't know what that's going to be.
That is the biggest mystery in that league is going to be Penn State. Have your bye week. You go at Wisconsin. They might have fired Luke Fickell by that point. You might be playing against an interim head coach at that point in time at Camp Randall Stadium. And then on Halloween, they host Ohio State. Again, notice I said host. Then they go at Indiana on November 14th. after their second bye week. And then Maryland is November 21st at home. Then they go at UCLA. They do have to play all three teams that we would consider to be in that elite upper class of the league, but you get two of them at home. And Indiana, I think, is the clear number 3 behind Oregon and Ohio State. I still put Indiana in that group because of how much I trust Kurt Cignetti and how much I like what they at least were able to bring in from a portal perspective. That's the one you get on the road. You get Oregon and Ohio State at home. You have to win at least one of those games.
Well, I'm totally future casting here, and I'm not wishing aspersions on Lincoln Riley because I just kind of don't care. He's just doesn't matter in my college football brain anymore. But there's a scenario where he loses those 2 games. He goes into the last game of UCLA. Bob Chesney has UCLA rolling. They lose to UCLA, and he's out of here.
Oh, losing to UCLA would be a gut punch.
That is not a far-fetched scenario based on a lot of the information that I've read about what's happening at UCLA. Maybe my inherent belief in Bob Chesney as a dude, somebody who
I think they hesitate.
Could possibly get that program going the right direction. Who knows how they come into that game? But let's say they're having a building type of season, and they have a chance to go get them one against the rivals, and the rivals are sort of teetering. Watch out.
Oh. If UCLA does pull that off, because here's the thing, too. I definitely see what you're saying in terms of a team that is in a year one struggling early. But if you have a really good football coach and they are legitimately laying the bricks of the foundation, they're laying the foundation and they are putting it together, and they might not be from the results, right? If everybody that followed this team in South Carolina in the late 90s when they had their winless season in Lou Holtz's first year, you were still losing all those games, but by the end of the year, you could tell the team was getting better. Mm-hmm. You could see marginal improvement, even if the record doesn't reflect that. And if you look at UCLA, there's a really good chance that team has 5 or 6 losses, maybe even 7 going into that game.
Right. Say they come into that 6-5 or something along those lines.
Yeah, or even, I think 4-7 is even on the table. Just looking at UCLA's schedule,
and that makes the case even worse because then you lose to a 4-7 rival, and now what are we doing?
Mm-hmm. Even at 6-5 or 5-6.
Yeah, and again, that's not. I don't think that's an outside the realm of possibilities, especially because USC is and Lincoln is sort of trapped in this championship or nothing mentality. You drop those 2 games, now you're out of the conversation. What are we here playing for? And I don't see Lincoln Riley as a master motivator to get his team ready to go regardless. So there's just a scenario that can happen.
Not necessarily the prototype that you would have for Lincoln is that.
No.
Right. No, I wouldn't have that either. And you're going to have to be, especially if you drop one of those Ohio State-Oregon games early, and especially if you do it at home. I think those 2 games being at home is a blessing and a curse for Lincoln Riley because there'll be an expectation, which fair or unfair, because it's not like they necessarily have some raucous home field advantage, right? You're in Los Angeles. There's in a pro sports town. There's plenty of stuff to do. They may have had an issue with attendance in the last few years. UCLA kind of battles that same thing.
Yeah, because there's cool stuff to do in LA.
You're in Los Angeles, right? If I was hanging out in Los Angeles for a weekend, I told somebody that I am paying money to go see UCLA play at the Rose Bowl, they might say, but yeah, well, there's other stuff you can do too. There's a lot of other stuff that you can do too. And that's what I'm like, hey, I like what I like, buddy. I'm a little bit of a college football sicko. If you haven't noticed, I will choose to do that. The Big Ten's going to be interesting. Real quick question before we get out of here, though, Preston Thorne. Does the Big Ten make it 4?
I can't say that with my true SEC heart here. I can't do. I will be shocked and feigned surprised if they do. Can't believe this happened again.
Oh no, I can't believe it.
I can't say that on air.
These
mics are recording me, man. What are you talking about? Get my SEC card taken.
Yeah, we have microphones. There's cameras recording us too. I mean, that SEC card you got to keep close to the chest.
Yeah.
Coming up next, though, we'll continue the theme of Backup Quarterback Day. Backup quarterback for your life. You have to win a game with a backup, calling him in SEC Gamecock history. Who you choosing? We'll choose ours next. Now, we just talked about potential firings in college football. When a school does that, you kind of have to clean house. But this summer, cleaning house means a lot of different things for different people, especially if you're going to be hosting a lot of people, if you're hosting barbecues and you're getting get-togethers done and all of that, family visits, weekend guests. Cleaning house actually has a more literal meaning for you, and Zero-Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning is here to assist you with that, especially with our patented zero water technology that leaves your carpets cleaner for longer, and in terms of keeping those air ducts clean and healthy too, improving the air quality, the air you breathe in your home. And this summer, Zero-Res is making it even easier, not just their high-quality cleaning and the products and the job they do. They're also going to make it a little more financially easier for you to do it, because all you got to do is use promo code SUMMER when you book, and you'll get 26% off all services, carpets, air ducts, upholstery, tile and grout, all of it for 26% off. All you got to do is use promo code SUMMER when you go to ZeroResColumbia.com to book online.
I have a report of an accident Bluff Road at Southern Drive. Also, I-77 northbound at Forest Drive, and still in progress, Prescott Road at Ames Road. A little bit milder today, mostly sunny, 90 for the high, 87 tomorrow, 90 on Friday and Saturday. Next chance for rain coming in potentially on Saturday afternoon or evening, but right now, starting off the morning, kind of a little bit warm. It is 80.
Backup quarterback day, one of my favorite theme days we do every summer. And for the early game morning meeting, it's time for us to pick a Gamecock backup quarterback for your life. And that's what we're doing for today's morning meeting.
Good morning. Good morning. Repeat after me. Today will be an awesome day. Let's go. Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day. Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day.
It absolutely will, because I know the spirit will eventually make its way into this segment. 803-404-6100. That is the Firehouse Subs text line. And here's the premise, right? To get more specific, backup quarterback for your life means your starting quarterback has gone down. There's 2 minutes left to go in the game. Ball is on the opponent's, or on your 30-yard line. You are down 3 points.
Okay, this might change my calculation a little bit. 2 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
Ball's on the 30. We're driving.
For your life. You have to at least send this game to overtime. For your life. And they cannot be a Gamecock starter. They could have been a Gamecock starter later, but they have had to have at least appeared as a backup in their career.
There's some shenanigans that can happen with this, because there's a couple of folks who I would like to see what people are going to bring in here, because there's a lot of conversation about, well, they eventually started, but they were backup. Did they ever play as a backup?
But you're getting the backup version
You're getting the backup
of them.
version
You're not getting the final version of them. You were getting the version of them that had to play in an interim basis.
Yeah.
So if you chose Lenore Sellers, it is 2023 version of Lenore Sellers.
Pretty solid still. There's some very limited sample size, but he's still very, very solid. Okay, there's an interesting question, interesting dilemma here. What do you value? Do you value a guy who's maybe upwards in experience, right? He's been on the team for a long time. He knows the system. He can come in there and make a few chosen select throws. Do you value a guy who's an athlete? Maybe he had a high ceiling. Maybe he's a quarterback in waiting.
Oh, I love the quarterback in waiting. It's not dead, folks.
Do you value a guy who is an arm talent? Because we only have we have 3 minutes left.
2 minutes.
2 minutes left, so we're going to have to be in a 2-minute drill-esque type of situation. Okay. I think I have my choice.
All right. What are you thinking with? What rationale led you to this choice?
Well, he's one of my favorite Gamecocks ever, first and foremost.
Helps.
He's one of my favorite Gamecocks ever. And I think the ability to make plays with his arm, because he is an arm talent, maybe even borderline gunslinger, but also
high risk, high reward for your life.
Also, his ability to, Jen, this is where I need your help. There's a clip I sent you there with a player against Clemson. I believe his name is Dylan Thompson. If we can find this clip, this is going to be the one that cements this in for me. Dylan Thompson, old Crazy Legs Thompson, gets the call. It's 3rd and 17, and he makes this play right here.
Shotgun snap. Thompson, quarterback draw, left side. Got one block, got another. It's on the 20, 15, 10. Dylan Thompson, first down for the Gamecocks, and they drag him out of bounds around the 6-yard line. That may be Connor Shaw's play, but Dylan Thompson just dialed it up for 20 yards in a Gamecock first down. Look at the hands on the hips of those Clemson defenders.
Oh, so disgusting, because that was not on the scouting report.
On what, 3rd in a mile? A quarterback draw?
With that guy.
With that guy.
As I said, Dylan Thompson, sneaky athletic, noted hooper. But definitely not what you would have thought would have been decided on that. So I'm going to go with, in this situation, backup for my life, I'm going with Dylan Thompson.
I want to get really creative here.
Okay.
Because when we were talking about game stealers, and I think we have learned that the center of the Venn diagram between great backups and game stealers is pretty wide, right? It is a very large middle of that Venn diagram. And summoning the idea of Mike Holt coming in against Notre Dame, the 84 to steal a game. If you're going to run that prevent defense mess on me, we're just going to run it all over the yard. And we're going to dink and dunk, and we're going to no huddle, and we're going to get ourselves into at least field goal position. Give me Mike Holt.
Ooh.
I wanted to get really creative with that one. Yes, was I alive for it? No, but have I seen clips of him playing? I have done myself the service of going back and watching as much as that I can that is available on the internet from that 84 season. Give me Mike Holt.
I think that's a very solid pick. You zigged a little bit when I thought you was gonna zag because you said that you was gonna run the ball. You said you was gonna dink and dunk down the field. And Jen, can we get the Carry-On Joiner here from the Mayo Bowl? Because I think that might be another good solid pick on what could possibly happen when you have somebody who can run and also move the ball down the field.
It sounds like
converted quarterback. Joyner rolling to his right, launches off his back foot, and completes. Jaheim Bell Haskell.
That's beautiful.
It's fun.
Because you know what? The first couple plays of this drive, direct snap right, sweep left. You're playing that prevent defense. You start moving it up because they're like, oh, this guy's not going to launch the ball. And then I'm dialing that mess up right there.
Yeah, and if you pick the Carry-On, you wouldn't be wrong because he did it in 2 separate years. He came in as the backup quarterback in that big Georgia win, the unsuspecting Georgia win when Brian Helinski gets hurt. The Carry-On comes in, holds on, doesn't do a lot, but does enough to hold on to the victory. Then the next year in that Mayo Bowl, which I would submit is maybe not but maybe top 3 signature wins in the Shane Beamer era because it sets everything up for what's to come the next years or so. So if you pick the Carry-On, you're not wrong. But there's a lot of suggestions that could be picked here.
Yeah, there certainly are. And on the Firehouse of text line, the first text we got was a Robbie Ashford.
Akron is huge. The Akron game is huge. It's not going to be noted, and nobody's going to talk about how we beat Akron. But again, when your starting quarterback goes down, you need to have somebody that can get you to the next spot. And maybe that 2024 season doesn't happen if a travesty happens against Akron because we don't have a backup quarterback.
Mm-hmm. No, that would have been rough. Jay from the Interstate says easy, Connor Shaw.
That's where
the backup version. You can get the backup version of him, and still.
And I think where Connor Shaw shines is that he offers you the dual threat capabilities where you can kind of call some of your direct snaps, you can get some things off, and he can make some plays.
Now, if you want to get really fun, if my defense I'm playing is 2021 Florida, give me Jason Brown. If I'm playing that specific defense, I want that guy. Give me that guy.
Jason Brown, coach killer. Definitely
He was a coach killer.
Definitely got Dan Mullen out the paint.
Oh, we have a triple Venn diagram here of game stealer, backup quarterback, coach killer. In the middle of that is Jason Brown.
Well, we go with multiple diagrams at the same time. Coach killer, backup game stealer. Fired Florida coaches. Dylan Thompson, Jason Brown, shake hands.
Oh, it's a crowded group.
Dylan Thompson definitely got Will Muschamp fired.
We'll continue getting your submissions on the text line, and we'll do some Denny Green Awards next.
Preston here for our friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. If your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, that's no problem. They'll come out to your location and they'll replace it for you, usually for free, and they'll work directly with your insurance to take away the headache. That's right. They'll come out to wherever you are, school, home, work. It does not matter. Absolute Glass will come out to you, and they will take care of the job for you. Now, if you're at home and you're looking to increase the value of your home, Absolute Glass can take care of that for you, too. windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. We say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
Bluff, easy for me to say, Bluff Road at Southern Drive, an accident. Also, I-77 northbound at Forest Drive. And still a work in progress, Prescott Road at Ames Road. And sunshine abounds the rest of this week. 90 today, 87 tomorrow, back to 90 on Friday. It's holding steady currently. Fair skies, and it's 80.
You know, I mean, we just the Bears are what we thought they were. what we thought they were. We played them in preseason. Who the hell takes a third game in the preseason like it's bull? We played them in the third game. Everybody played 3 quarters. The Bears are who we thought they were. And that's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
Oh, they are who we thought they were.
New challenge. Every Thursday, you have to try and hit your steering wheel, desk, cabinet at the same time that Denny Green hits it, because I can never get it. I can't quite get.
I'm always too early.
It's like
I'm too early on.
I don't know if you've seen like the viral Whitney Houston challenge where they try and hit the "And I Will Always Love You" at the time where it drops at the same time. That's gonna be the early game challenge. Can you hit your desk at the same time that Denny does? Because I can never get it.
When he side slaps the podium. If you're watching, it's still hard to predict too, because it's not like he throws his hand down on the top of it. He side slaps it, right? I've been trying to do that here for a while.
Can't get it.
I'm always too early.
Always just a little bit too early.
And we hear this every week, and you'd think I've got it down by now.
We'll see if we can get it. We'll try again next week.
I would say the first Denny Green Award winner, though, are texters on the Firehouse Subs text line, because obviously a lot of Dylan Thompson on here, a lot of them.
I feel
and
good.
I'm like, yes, absolutely.
I feel good about my pick.
Dylan Thompson and Connor Shaw are the two most popular ones here. We had one texter says, I'll still take backup Steven Garcia. Got to stick with my boy.
Solid.
Love the loyalty. But then we got real fun with it. One texter says, Wildcat Stephon Gilmore.
I think that technically qualifies.
It qualifies.
He was a quarterback. He wasn't the starting quarterback. You just got to say, hey, we're just going to run this Wildcat up and down the field, which leads me to one of my favorite feats that I've ever seen. 2-minute drill, Berkeley, Monk's Corner, and Bruce runs a 2-minute drill out of the wishbone in high school.
It can be done.
2 minutes. He just dialing it up. Running, did not pass the ball one time.
You crazy man.
It was crazy. It was great. That's how great he was.
Feed my soul. Mm-hmm. Feed my football-loving soul. It's amazing. We even have one text from the Firehouse text line. Says, this is, I guess, Andrew in Columbia. Says, Kai Kroger on the fake field goals.
Okay. The man, there was a stretch of time where he was the best thrower we had on the team.
If you go by completion percentage, the man was on a heater. It's 1st down and 10 on the wrong side of the 50. They're on their own 30-yard line, and they're coming out in a punt formation. And it's a fake, and it's a fake punt the entire time. Then you get past the 50, then they're fake field goals. And then
they just run fakes.
They're just running fakes the entire time.
They're gonna kick it eventually. No, they're not.
No, they're not. Just kidding. Still not faking. Or sorry, still not kicking. Still faking. Mm-hmm. Oh, those are great. Jay from the Interstate says Savell Newton.
Solid. Again, I like how y'all getting sneaky with these picks, because it's very difficult. Shout out to Savell, but it's very difficult to consider somebody a backup who, much like I think this is a very unique SEC category. I think it's like Savell and Hines Ward. Speaking of Hines Ward from earlier, who had 1,000 yards passing, 1,000 rushing, 1,000 receiving. It's like it's a VIP club that nobody else can get in. It's a very slim margin. So yes, solid pick of picking Savell.
And then one person gets Scar for backup. I think it's York. It says Scar for backup. It's
Scarnecchia, the rain game. One of the classic games in history. Again, game stealer, the game, name game, backup quarterback.
Venn diagram, winners. I think also for that, if the premise was you have the ball on your own 30, there's 2 minutes left, you're down 3, you got to call up a backup quarterback to lead the final drive. If I told you it was raining and monsooning, you're probably going to go ahead and jump to Scarnecchia.
First pick off the board.
Oh, that ball is waterlogged? Okay, I know exactly who I'm going to pick to lead this drive.
I believe that was the Drew Lock-led Missouri.
You would be correct. And I believe the OC for that Missouri team was Josh Heupel.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, I know Heupel was the OC for one of the Drew Lock teams before. I think that was then when he took the UCF head coaching job after that. But I can't remember if he was the OC for that specific game or not.
So I don't know whether it was on Josh Heupel or Drew Lock who threw that screen for pick 6 the other way. I would like to know the blame breakdown on that one.
Oh, I'd love to get those two in a room and say, all right, whose fault is that?
It's the rain's fault.
It's the rain. Of course, yeah. None of us. Yeah, the answer is C, none of the above. Oh, man. But in terms of this week, who gets a Denny Green Award, I want to throw one out there, too. For LSU. Now, we will do more further in-depth parts of this conversation tomorrow when we go to Lawsuit City. But I want to plant the seed right now because I think they are also deserving of a Denny Green Award. Because one thing they didn't really do when it comes to helping their players out is help them out with buyouts of their deals. Because the reason we're going to Lawsuit City is that Ole Miss is going to sue Devin Harper and Prince Will Umanmielen. Because there are players that transferred from Ole Miss to go to LSU and follow Lane Kiffin. They're asking for $550,000 from Umanmielen and $400,000 from Harper as part of early termination things in the contracts that they signed. And LSU is apparently reportedly refused to pay that for them to bring them to LSU.
This is juicy. This is fun. We will be taking a trip to Lawsuit City, so Pat, make sure your bags are packed because we will be going tomorrow. But I will say that this is exactly who we think LSU is, right?
100%. Oh, playing it to a T. To a T. Just if they're going to get away with not paying something, they're going to do it. If they're going to try to skirt around rules, they'll do it. Right? It's about as Machiavellian an operation as you're going to find in collegiate sports. And not just the football team. They just hired Will Wade to be their basketball coach. Again. It's the entire operation there, brother. It is the entire athletic department. And if you want to go real meta here on the Denny Green Award, that game between LSU and Ole Miss just got even juicier. That game will be exactly what we think it is right now.
Blood battle, bloodthirst.
I've been saying it all summer. The bloodthirstiest stadium you will see in college football this year will be Vaught Hemingway Stadium in mid-September. I think that game is September 19th. Yep, September 19th.
We did have the time slots on that we will be able to watch that game because we will be playing earlier that game in the biggest game in Shane Beamer's career.
Yep, Mississippi State.
It will happen. We will win. Everybody will be relaxed so that we can watch those two teams desperately battle each other on that field. But the key is we have to watch it in peace.
Yes. I will be in the press box because usually it takes me a couple hours once the game is over to do press conferences, post video, and all that type of stuff. So usually I'm doing that while there's games on in the press box, and usually they kind of shut it down. There's a last call for the shuttle to get back to the parking lot where the media is parked. I might just have to ask Michael Debates, hey, can we keep this open a little longer so I can see the end of this LSU Ole Miss game? If not, I'll just watch it on my phone in my car because I don't want to miss a play of that. I don't want to miss anything of what's going to happen in that game. If you want to give a Denny Green Award before it actually happens, I promise you that game is going to deliver.
That's going to be fun.
In terms of all the drama on the planet, that one is going to deliver. But coming up next, though, it's time to air out some grievances. We're going to put some folks on the line, including somebody who played the worst practical joke that you could play on somebody. And we'll let you hear from that person, and we'll tell you what it is next. It's time to put some folks on the line. Time to get mad about stuff. We'll introduce this the correct way. Let's do it.
Man, hey, let's just go and get on the line right now, man.
My patience is running thin. You're all running out of time. You was late to my practice, sir? Everybody on the line.
Come on.
Oh, and I got a good one for today.
I got one too.
We'll go start with mine because you know what? We have the number one subject matter expert when it comes to pranks on this show, and that is one Jen Jensen.
Yes. You would know that because if you follow behind her, you could see her car says that she is the number one prankster.
Number one. And they don't just hand that award out. That is earned.
It's earned, yeah.
I have heard stories and tales, Paul Bunyan-esque, of Jen Jensen hijinks.
I used to have a college professor that reminds me of a classic from many, many years ago. Yes.
Honestly,
fun.
She could write a book of pranks, and it's one of those, like, you're stealing from it, right? The great artists steal. You could do that from Jen Jensen. So we're going to summon her because there is a golfer, an LPGA golfer, Charlie Hull, who decided to play a prank on her caddy. And I'm ruling this out of bounds because we're putting her on the line. But we'll let Charlie explain herself while we're going to put her on the line.
And it's good because I love playing for money, I'm not going to lie. Like, that's why I think I play so well in the majors, because even if I'm quite a lot behind, I'm like, come on, ads, let's make loads of birdies today, extra dollars for me and him to get. Actually, talking of money today, I was in the, went to a prank shop in Blackpool last night, and I got some scratch cards. So we go into the players' lounge this morning, and I was like, oh, Rads, I got some scratch cards from the shop. He was like, oh, yeah. And this one was like $100,000. And we've got it all on record. He's like scratching it, scratching it, scratching it. He's like, oh my gosh, I've won. He's taking his hat off. He's taking his glasses off. He's literally running around the players' lounge saying, I've won $100,000. I'm taking today off. His face looks so happy. He was sweating. He was trembling. He couldn't believe his luck. And then we had to tell him it was fake, and he nearly quit the job. I got it all on camera, to be fair. I try and find it and I'll send it to somebody, but it is just absolutely hilarious. Like, I don't know if you guys can see, this was his reaction when he thought he won £100,000, and it was just hilarious. I think, like, he's like high-fiving everybody. He's so funny. He's like, swear to God, I can't believe I won $100,000. But yeah, I felt bad. But now I've got to have my backup because I don't know what he's got in store for me to pay back.
Pretty hilarious. To whom?
Right. That one's a little harsh.
Not funny at all.
No.
Even the prankster herself says it's a little too far.
Yeah, I think so. You know, and I mean, simple things like putting water in somebody's, like one of these cushion chairs so you sit down, you know, get wet. Maybe taping some tuna under the chair so eventually it smells, you know. Silly things.
Yes.
But when it comes to, really getting somebody's hopes up, I mean, that's a lot of money. It would be like, okay, $50 I won. Oh, no, you didn't. Okay, whatever. But you're talking money, and a lot of money.
100,000.
I don't think
that man saw bills pass through his eyes. He saw like payments that he was going to make, investments, whatever the case.
Debt-free, a house.
Yes.
All this type of stuff.
Yep. So, no, I don't care for that one.
And first of all, he's the caddy. You're the champion. You get a chance to make all the money. I don't get a chance to make all this money.
Yeah.
This is a windfall for me. This doesn't happen to me.
Correct.
And she's like,
oh, and I've got it all on camera, how he was reacting and how funny it was.
It's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, no.
No, it's not. Charlie Hull,
get on the line.
Yes.
This has been easy. If you know anything, you probably could have foreseen this coming, but the man who makes $1.5 million as the highest paid GM in college football, this was said about him in 2008 by Al Davis. Rest in peace, Al Davis. He said, Mike Lombardi has been fired from every job he's ever had. Every job. He can't get a job. Last year, he was fired from a job that he wasn't even getting paid for. He was fired from Denver. Yeah, I guess he has some ability. I guess. That's from Al Davis, 2008, after he was firing Michael Lombardi. Michael Lombardi has been fired from every job that he's had. He's a scammer. He's a grifter, banking off the name that he's been gifted with by the gods, and now he is on paid administrative leave, $1.5 million, paid administrative leave, and so for that, Bill Belichick, come here.
Oh, you know what you're doing.
It's not your fault anymore, Mike. We know you're a scammer. We know you're a grifter. We got you.
Denny Green Award special.
We know exactly who you are. Bill Belichick, get on the line. Because, again, you have proven that you have no concept of character around you, and you have just completely made the UNC football program into the circus that it is.
The highest paid general manager in college football.
No experience. He never had any experience as a GM in college or the NFL. He's never been a GM ever.
No.
And Bill Belichick was just like, come on, man, I got something for you. 1.5. And, oh, yeah, by the way, your son can be our quarterback's coach, too.
Bill Belichick. One more time for the cronyism.
Get on the line.
Oh, ridiculous stuff. Who would have seen this coming? Maybe not the whole HR complaint that this is about. Maybe you didn't see that thing coming, but this not going well? Blatantly obvious. More backup quarterback day stuff coming up next. The early game third and long hour starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. Our man Thomas is back in the video production room here at Studio 803. And today's backup quarterback day, which means it's a perfect day for guys naming dudes, but also it's a really important position in general, right? Especially the last couple of years. I feel like it is every year, but in the last couple of years, your starting quarterback, Lenora Sellers, has had to miss some time. It's not a lot of time, but there were times where your backup quarterback in the last couple of years has been called upon to win you a game, finish a drive. Think back in 2024, Lenoris has to leave for a little bit against Kentucky. Robbie Ashford gets about a drive or two in. I can't remember if it was one drive or two drives, but Robbie Ashford did have to play, and there was a question as to whether or not Lenoris was going to return in that game. 1 week later, against LSU, gets hurt late in the first half. Robbie Ashford is your starting quarterback for the second half. And then Robbie Ashford plays for the entirety of the Akron game the following week. Last season, Lenora Sellers gets hurt in the first half against Vanderbilt, and Luke Doty has to come in and play the entire second half of that game. So backup quarterback is a pretty important position, because if we're just taking the trend in the last 2 years, your backup quarterback will play some meaningful snaps. If that trend holds, I'm not predicting injury or anything like that. I'm just saying that if that trend holds, then you will have to play whoever your backup quarterback is in some meaningful capacity. And when we look at the South Carolina backup quarterback room, you have two guys that are sticking out, right, as the examples or the potential leaders of that role. Cutter Woods, Landon Duckworth. Cutter Woods came here as a true freshman last year from Westside High School, won a state title his junior season, put up some video game-like passing numbers. And if you go back and watch some clips and you watch the tape and you watch those high school state championships, he is picking folks apart from the pocket. Landon Duckworth is a true freshman this year, one of the prize recruits from last year's class from the state of Alabama, more of a dual threat guy, does have an incredibly strong arm. I did watch him on one throw, throw a pass that's about 55, 60 yards in the air, rolling to his left. So really strong arm, a really good improv playmaker for when a play breaks down. Two different types of quarterbacks, two different positions in terms of where they're at in their careers, because Cutter did get to spend a year here last year. When you look at this backup quarterback room, Preston Thorne, what's the first thing that's coming to mind in terms of how this should be managed?
Okay, my first thing that comes to mind is, excuse me, is that we're in a better situation than we were last year. Because last year was ultimately one of the biggest disappointments, was that we didn't have any situation at the backup quarterback position. We had to send Luke Doty out there, who had been practicing at wide receiver for the past 2 years. All of a sudden, he's playing quarterback. That means that Aaron Nolan didn't live up to the expectations, which means that we took a huge risk in the transfer portal. That didn't work out. So that was maybe a canary in the coal mine about how that season was going to go. All of that being said, I think as you were talking, in my mind, the way I would think about this is if I need a situation to be handled, a ship to be steadied, maybe I'm thinking along the lines of Cutter Woods, right? I can bring him in a situation. He can make all the throws on the passing chart. I don't need to necessarily redo a game plan for him, because he can make all of the particular throws. Now, if I need somebody to go out and win a game, maybe I'm thinking Landon Duckworth, because of his versatility and what he could bring to the squad. That's something that we'll have to figure out. I do feel that having Kendall Browse as somebody as an OC who has called plays for both archetypes of quarterbacks puts us in, again, a better situation than we were in last year.
That's where there's an interesting, I guess, dynamic between Cutter Woods and Landon Duckworth, is that they do play different styles. Cutter was a master at being in the pocket, picking teams apart. From just watching the highlights, and again, I don't have the luxury of watching all of his games at Westside High School. I spent my Friday nights here at the station reporting on scores and doing a high school football scoreboard show, so I would see the totals. I would get call-ins talking about how well he played, and I can see the highlights. And of course, on a highlight plays, you're not going to see a lot of mistakes. But what you can see and what you can actually learn from that is that he layers the ball really well. He didn't oftentimes put the ball in harm's way. He was throwing a lot of passes. He's out throwing coverages, right? If you're looking at how deep like safeties are playing, Usually they'd play about 15, 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he's throwing it over them, right? You couldn't play a prevent deep enough for his arm. He has a really good arm, and he looked like he was really accurate, right? Landon Duckworth there was a lot more chaos plays on his tape, right? The ones that were chosen to be shown, there's a lot more chaos, a lot more pockets breaking down. He's having to get outside the pocket. He's having to scramble. He's having to make throws on the run. There were a lot more quarterback designed runs where you can tell the purpose of the play is for Landon Duckworth to take the snap and then run with it. So it's two completely different styles. Really, the only time you'd see Cutter Woods run is if the pocket was breaking down, he was forced to. I didn't see a ton of designed quarterback runs, even though I know they would do it a little bit. So it's two completely different skill sets. When balancing that, though, from just a philosophical standpoint, if you do believe maybe Cutter Woods is the better quarterback, does it still make sense to play him if the offense and what you've been running throughout the course of that particular game has been geared towards someone of more Lenore Sellers' skill set?
I hear what you're saying philosophically, but the first part is what matters to me more. If he's the sizably better quarterback, the person that I trust to take care of the ball, even though maybe the other person may have a little bit more you ready? Higher ceiling, lower floor.
Sports talky, I like it.
Sports talky. Even though the other person may have a higher ceiling and can maybe create more explosives in a situation that I'm trying to either maybe finish out a drive till Lenoris gets his stuff ready, finish a team that I don't think is very good, but we have a lead that we want to take care of, I still would go with the person that I think is the better quarterback overall, regardless of skill set. As the coach, I'll make their skill set work. You just come in and be a better quarterback.
And that's a Kendall Briles plus, too. I think if you just look at his track record as an offensive coordinator, you can look at quarterbacks like De'Aaron King at Houston, KJ Jefferson at Arkansas, guys who are maybe there will be more designed runs for that maybe play a closer skill set to what you're going to see with Lenore Sellers. And then there are also quarterbacks from his time, Josh Hoover specifically, that's the most recent one, and maybe some of his quarterbacks from the Baylor days where they are tasked with being in the pocket more, right? They're going to be in the pocket more. It's going to be a more drop-back style passing game and an approach to your offense, and he still makes it work, right? You still have successful passing games with both archetypes of quarterbacks. So for me, if it is a situation that arises this year where Lenore Sellers goes down or loses a helmet or whatever it is, I think as a play caller, Kendall can adjust that accordingly, and that's when you're going to have to rely on maybe more of your wide receivers. Maybe wide receiver depth is going to matter more there. If Cutter Woods is in the game, maybe the formations are going to change. Maybe you do line up a little closer to the boundary to maybe try to get light boxes to be able to get, better running looks. And you're handing the ball off more as traditional handoffs as opposed to like an RPO. There are little adjustments that you can make there if you're Kendall Briles that can still make that work, even if stylistically your backup is different than what you've been playing with your starter for the entire season or the entire game to that point.
Well, this goes back to what is the foundation of Kendall Briles' offense is the inside zone play. And that is not an RPO, that is not an option, that is not a running play, that is just an inside zone. And if they're able to execute that well, that means the offense is moving. Well, it doesn't take a quarterback with legs to be able to do that. There's an addition to doing that, but that doesn't mean that you have to have that. So the baseline of his offense can still be run by a guy who's a quote-unquote pocket quarterback. Doesn't necessarily need to be a dual threat guy to be able to run the base of the Kendall Briles offense.
I think that's the beauty of it too, is that you do have that offensive versatility. And I think the skill set of both Cutter and Landon Duckworth, again, we're watching them in high school, so it's really hard to kind of project. We did see a little bit of Cutter last year. There was a 16-yard completion that he threw to Donovan Murph in the Oklahoma game where I thought that was a mature college quarterback play. He read the defense, saw where the coverage was, saw where, their end zone. Oklahoma had a corner that was kind of just playing the flat where the first route was, and then Donovan Murph is kind of in between that corner and the safety. And Cutter Woods saw him kind of sitting there and found him on good timing for it to be able to be completed and move the chains a little bit. Again, you didn't get to see a lot. We're operating on such a small sample size for somebody like Cutter plus what he did in high school. So projecting him further can be a little bit tougher. But that's what it comes to this coaching staff, of seeing what they do in practice and being able to have these type of contingency plans. And that's one thing that if I'm able to learn something from preseason camp, and I would love to just be in a meeting for, is what does that contingency plan look like? You don't want to have to use it, but you don't want to be caught in a game either where Lenoris goes down or for some reason he has to miss a drive or two, and you have to rely on a backup, whether it's Cutter or Landon, to lead you through drives. What does that contingency plan look like?
It's going to happen. Now, we're not hoping that it's not an injury. Hopefully it's not a severe injury. It might just be his cleat came off and they can't get it back on, or he lost a contact or whatever. I don't know, but it is going to happen at some point, and you need to make sure that you have a plan for that. Going back to the idea of you seeing him in high school, this is where unless Landon Duckworth is, a 5-star, out of this world type of talent, when you see a guy who thrives in high school off of some of those chaos plays, a lot of times it takes them a little bit of a while to make an adjustment to the speed and abilities of college football, because he's used to running around, running through, out-athleting everybody. And that's just not going to be the case in the SEC for the majority of the part. And I'm sure he'll find that out here coming up in the camp, because some of those throws that you used to make, you won't be able to make. Some of those times where you go backwards to go forward that you see on high school tapes, it's not going to happen. And so he's just going to have to be able to make that adjustment in his mind. When he'll be able to do that, I don't know. I think this is why we have a true actual, I think from all that I've read, I have no inside information, feels like there's an actual true competition for the backup spot.
Yeah, it's a legitimate one. I think you can pencil Cutter in because of the advantage he has of playing last year, but I'm not writing that down in pen. It's got to be something erasable, right? You ever wrote down something in pen and you know it was incorrect and you have to change it? Like if you look at my notes, my notepad, it's littered with scribbles of me like scribbling stuff out.
Which, by the way, one of the worst inventions was the erasable pen. I don't know if you've ever seen any of these.
An erasable
pen? They tried this for a little while. It's like, oh, it's a pen, but it's also erasable.
No,
it didn't work. It defeated both purposes, which also goes to my mind is make a choice. And this is one of my mottos in life. Don't become anything in the middle, because it's going to be garbage.
That sounds like a terrible idea.
Just look it up. It happened.
I can imagine that was nowhere near in practice the way it was in theory.
There was a time before.
Oh, there certainly was. But in terms of that competition, though, that contingency plan is going to really hinge on a decision that you make early on in the season. And that is where the tough part of camp is going to come in. We'll go to the AAA Heating and Air phone lines before we get out of here, because Taylor is on the line. Taylor wants to weigh in. Good morning, Taylor. Welcome to the early game.
Good morning, fellas. It's getting closer to football season and school starting back. It's a good time. I just wanted to weigh in on the backup quarterback situation. I think Cutter Woods is that guy that can kind of lead the Gamecocks, if something worst-case scenario happens. I felt like sometimes last year, Norris had trouble in the pocket, and I really wish, Beamer would have kind of pulled the trigger and given Cutter an opportunity. I feel like one thing we can kind of look back in the Beamer era, that Beamer doesn't pull quarterbacks like Spurrier did,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certainly a little more patient, and that's a plus of having a backup quarterback too. And appreciate the call, Taylor, especially if that backup quarterback you really believe in, and the defense has not seen a lot of. If it can be such a different look, say that you're in the third quarter of a game and you just need to get the offense going, you need a spark. If you need to throw Cutter in the game and he can complete those passes and he gives your offense a different look and he gives the defense something they haven't seen before, there's plenty of times in football where that opportunity arises and that actually ends up being the right move. Now, weighing that decision out is going to be the hard part. Now, a lot of the discussion that we have had when it comes to the backup quarterbacks has been for this year, but there's a larger discussion. Because back in the old days of college football, the quarterback in waiting was a real thing. We'll tell you why the quarterback in waiting era isn't dead yet, though, coming up next year in the early game. Talking a lot of backups today here on the early game, but I'll tell you who your starter should be when it comes to getting you out of any business tax issues or personal income tax issues. That's the Egton Law Firm. John Egton is number one on the depth chart because his team for decades here in the state of South Carolina has been coming up with proven local solutions that have helped thousands of families, businesses just like yours escape that IRS maze. And they do it in a variety of different ways. There's nothing you can present to them that they haven't seen before. Those proven local solutions are versatile. They have come up with thousands of different solutions to help people out. And it all starts, every single one of them, there's one similarity. And that's starting with the free consultation. 803-771-9800. That's the number to call to set up that free consultation where we can talk with John and his team at the Egton Law Firm about those local solutions that I alluded to and get yourself one step closer to a worry-free life. So the number again, 803-771-9800. You can always visit them at ectonlawfirm.com. That's ECTON lawfirm.com.
Still working a few accidents this morning. Bluff Road at Southern Drive. Also, I-26 eastbound there at at I-126. That's exit 108A. I-77 northbound at Forest Drive. Also still in progress, Prescott Road at Ames and St. Andrews Road at Tram Road. And, of course, we do have some heavy traffic going I-26 eastbound between Lake Murray Boulevard and I-20. Forecast looking like a lot of sunshine for the next few days. 90 today, 87 tomorrow, back to 90 for your Friday, and starting your morning off at 80.
The quarterback in waiting era in college football is not dead. And I would actually say it is maybe more alive than ever. We were talking about backup quarterbacks here on the early game, and a lot of that centers around your backup quarterback situation for the guys that are behind glass and break in case of emergency. You don't want to go into a game having to use your backup quarterback by any means, unless there's a quarterbacking controversy and you have to kind of figure it out, right? Or if you were Notre Dame last year and it's C.J. Carr and Kenny Minchey and you're playing Miami in the first week of the year on the road, if C.J. Carr struggled mightily in that first half and you knew you had to win that game to impress the CFP committee by the end of the year, maybe you do go to Kenny Minchey. It's a different type of controversy. But for the most part, you go into the year knowing who your starter is, knowing who the backup is, and you don't want, as much as you may like that backup quarterback, you don't want to have to use him by any means. But in an era of college football now, where there is more player movement, quarterbacks transfer more often than any position on the field because you can only play one of them at a time, you see a lot of teams that are getting rental quarterbacks or transfer quarterbacks and not having their succession plan in place the year prior. In theory, you might think that the better teams in college football just go out and they portal poach every single year. And there are plenty of programs that do that on a yearly basis. You can think of a few programs in your mind that have really gone into the portal every single year or almost every year to try to get their quarterback. But that has done nothing. If you look at a lot of the evidence, especially the anecdotal evidence that I can prove here, that the quarterback in waiting era is dead, Preston.
I can only think of one team, and this is just off the top of my head, that has been successful in the poaching strategy, and that's Miami. Mm-hmm. That's the one I can think of where they've consistently kind of gone after the highest and best player in the portal, and it's worked out well for them. Cam Ward, Carson Beck. We'll see with Darian Mensah here coming up this year. But other than that, yeah, it's kind of counter to what you would think, but all these other squads that have been successful have had a quarterback who has come through some form of development in the program.
And now you can even look at Indiana, too. 2-year sample size, though, so a little bit smaller. And they did get Fernando Mendoza, who did end up winning the Heisman. And Curtis Rourke was good the first year of Cignetti at Indiana. He was a transfer from Ohio. So this is going to be the third straight year of Kurt Cignetti at Indiana where he is going to have a one-and-done quarterback with Josh Hoover, who transferred in from TCU. So we'll see how that one goes. To me, that one's still TBD in terms of consistent year-in and year-out success. So far, we've gotten 2 in a row that have been really good. They've gone to the playoff with two different quarterbacks who were there for 1 year. Good time, not a long time. So they're on track to maybe being an outlier. Miami seems like a little bit of an outlier. But if you look at the other teams in college football that either went to the playoff last year or are legitimate contenders to win it all this year, we can start with Ohio State. Now, Julian Sand did transfer from Alabama to Ohio State, but his first year there, he was sitting behind Will Howard. They won the national championship with Julian Sand as a backup option. Sand made his first start as a college football player last year against Texas. They almost win the Big Ten, and they have a good year. They go to the college football playoff. They're number 1 in the AP for a majority of the season. We'll see what they do this year. Notre Dame, C.J. Carr, redshirted his freshman year, his true freshman year, behind Riley Leonard, who was one-and-done transfer guy, but C.J. Carr or Kenny Minchey, whoever one of them was going to be the quarterback in waiting. They knew their quarterback for 2025 was in that room in 2024. Oregon, now they do this too, but it's a little bit different, right? Dante Moore was the quarterback in waiting behind Dylan Gabriel, but he went in the portal to be the quarterback in waiting, knowing he was not going to start that year, that Dylan Gabriel was going to start, and then Dante Moore takes the reins over last year. They go to the college football playoff semifinals. And now this year, Dylan Raiola leaves as a 5-star guy from Nebraska, knowing he's going to sit behind Dante Moore, and is now the clear quarterback in waiting for Oregon for next year. So they know who the quarterback in 27 is going to be. We talked about Indiana being an outlier. Georgia, Gunnar Stockton, clearly the quarterback in waiting behind Carson Beck. Now, he had his chance earlier than expected because of Beck's injury in the SEC title game, so Gunnar Stockton had to start the game against Notre Dame in the college football playoff quarterfinal. Texas Tech, Baron Morton, who was their quarterback last year, was on the roster for years before he was the starter, playing behind guys like Tyler Shuck and a slew of other quarterbacks there. He was on the roster, maybe kind of looked at as a quarterback in waiting. We talked about Miami. They've been using the transfer portal thing, so theirs is a little different. But Alabama, Ty Simpson, behind Bryce Young and Jalen Milroe his entire career before getting 1 year as a starter. He was like a 3 or 4 year quarterback in waiting. Oklahoma's a little different because John Mateer transferred in. Texas A&M, Marcel Reed played behind Connor Wegman his true freshman season. Wegman eventually got benched. Marcel Reed took over. I think threw 361 yards in his first, start when he actually got to play. And then the rest is history. He's the starter now. Ole Miss had a plan to do the quarterback in waiting, right? Austin Simmons was slotted as the quarterback after Jackson Dart. There was no doubt he was going to be the starter going into last season. He gets hurt early, and Trinidad Chambliss takes over and never gives the job up. The rest is history there. And then for Texas, Arch Manning was the clear quarterback in waiting behind Quinn Ewers. That era is not dead, Preston Thorne. Does it look differently than it used to? Yes, because a lot of those quarterbacks did transfer in from other places, some with the idea of sitting early and getting their shot later. But the idea of the quarterback in waiting in college football isn't a dead concept by any means.
Well, there's one key component of the quarterback in waiting that needs to be in place for it to work. That is, the quarterback who's starting needs to be very good.
Yes.
Or else we are in controversy territory.
You don't want to be in that.
And that's where you do not want to be. And so when you was going through those situations, all of them worked out. But even when you was thinking about Georgia, there starts to be little rumblings, right? Because Carson Beck, nobody just didn't like the dude. There wasn't anything else.
Likability matters.
Just did not have a lot of likability. Gunner's a hometown guy. He's a likable dude. You could just feel the push from the fan base, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where it gets really interesting about the quarterback in waiting, because the quarterback who's playing has to start. I was looking this up to make sure I had it right, because the folks upstate had a beautiful system working out. They had one great quarterback, then the next great quarterback, and then another great quarterback, and then it just went off the rails with DJ. And then all of a sudden now we have controversy because Cade is there, and now people are starting to say, hey, this guy might actually be better than that guy. And you get into those conversations. So the only thing about a quarterback in waiting, same thing we had here. We knew Lenoris was going to be good, but we were okay, even though there were some rumblings. I was on the radio. There were some rumblings when Spencer started to struggle a little bit. People said, hey, we'll just put Lenoris. And it was like, I don't think that's how it's going to work. The key component is for a quarterback in waiting is that the starter has to be really good.
Yes. And that there is a legitimate learning process behind them. Again, like if you look at all of these quarterbacks here that were the starters first, Will Howard was a seasoned veteran. He transferred in from Kansas State. So Ohio State kind of veered a little bit and had a one-year transfer guy. But Will Howard was a guy who ended up getting drafted, right? Pittsburgh Steelers drafted him. He's still on that roster. Riley Leonard eventually got drafted by the Indianapolis Colts. Riley Leonard was a really good quarterback. There's a lot to learn from there, from someone like C.J. Carr.
Every time you say Riley Leonard, I just say, just go look at his basketball highlights, his high school highlights.
The sneakiest of athleticism. There's sneaky athleticism with running the ball, and then there's sneaky athleticism with jumping over folks and dunking the ball.
Fun times.
All-around athlete. Hooper, right? Dylan Gabriel, though, holds NCAA passing records. Played a lot of college football at multiple schools. Dante Moore probably learned a lot from sitting behind Dylan Gabriel. Veteran guy, you get to pick his brain a lot. Somebody like Gunnar Stockton. Gunnar Stockton behind Carson Beck. Beck ended up being a third-round draft pick in the NFL. Even Baron Morton, even though he sat behind a lot of guys at Texas Tech. Tyler Shuck was a guy who ended up getting drafted, playing a lot of college football. I think it does help to not only play behind somebody that's really good, but somebody who is seasoned and has a lot of experience, too. I think that part probably matters a lot in getting that peer-level learning as opposed to just getting learning from your coaches.
That's the biggest thing. You have to be able to transfer, because if there's any form of controversy, now we're having a different conversation.
We're having a Kyler Murray, J.J. McCarthy situation.
Oh, no.
That might be a situation that determines whether or not Preston Thorne becomes a Vikings fan for 1 year. But we're going to get a little closer to that truth coming up next, because we're going to see how much Preston values fourth down aggressiveness with his football teams. We'll continue our odyssey to find Preston's favorite team next. Now, we talked about quarterback controversies. What's not a controversy is that if you are a school, business, university, nonprofit organization, and you're trying to find an outfit or somebody who can help you with the branded apparel, with the signage, promotional products, well, I've got something for you. I have the solution. That's School Cuts and Minuteman Press. You know about School Cuts because they've been in this area for 30 plus years. Very familiar with School Cuts' works. I even have a School Cuts pen that I use with regularity, but they don't just make pens, right? They make quality screen printing embroidery on uniforms, spirit wear, branded apparel, hats, t-shirts, pullovers, anything you can imagine. As someone who's been in that warehouse, I can tell you they make everything when it comes to branded apparel, and Minuteman Press takes care of all the signage, promotional products, brochures, booklets, banners. I've even seen them make thermoses too with your logo on it. School Cuts, Minuteman Press. Visit them today, 1415 Gervais Street, Columbia, or 518 Wessinger Street in West Columbia.
Still an accident in progress or getting things cleaned up. Bluff Road at Southern Drive, I-26 eastbound at I-126, I-77 northbound at Forest Drive, Prescott at Ames, and St. Andrews at Tram, also in progress. And forecast, lots of sunshine for the next few days. 90 today, 87 tomorrow, 90 on Friday. Next chance for rain coming maybe Saturday afternoon or evening, but holding steady this morning. We have a mix of clouds and sun, and it is 80.
Training camp has started for all 32 teams in the National Football League, which means it's crunch time. It's almost time for Preston Thorne to find a favorite NFL team. And today I wanted to get into more coaching tendencies, right? Because part of the viewing experience is having a coach that you can identify with, especially if you can just pick on a year-to-year basis. A coach that you identify with. And one of the most popular things in the NFL right now, fourth down decision making. I think we criticize and we analyze those more now than maybe we used to because of all the information at our fingertips in terms of what is efficient on fourth down, what's the percentage of increasing your win probability and things of that nature, right? The whole quote unquote analytics part of this has made some coaches more aggressive in fourth down decision making. But what if you don't like that? What if you like playing it safer? You'd like to cheer for a team that you identify with on a personal level a little bit more. So Preston Thorne today, when it comes to coaching aggressiveness, fourth down aggressiveness, the higher the tier, the more aggressive on fourth down. And this is all from ftnfantasy.com, which is built by Aaron Schatz. It's his, it's kind of his own created metric about fourth down aggressiveness. It takes into account where you do it, how often you do it. And he's got his own metric now. Aaron Schatz, for those who don't know, invented Football Outsiders. He's one of the godfathers of football analytics as we know it today, right? So this is about as clear a vision as you can get on who is truly the most aggressive on fourth down. So now what I do is I tier these teams into 8 groups of 4. Now there are a lot of first-year head coaches. So I'll go ahead and tell you now, teams that have first-year head coaches we have no sample size of. So they are at the bottom. Clearly tier 1 will be those coaches because we just don't know. So I put them in tier 1. Tier 2 will have some coaches that have been on other teams as head coaches and using those numbers in that scenario. So on a scale of 1 to 8, with 1 being the least aggressive or don't know, all the way up to 8, which is the most aggressive head coaches in the NFL. What is your appetite for rolling the dice, Preston Thorne?
I tend to be a little bit more conservative on going for it on fourth down, even though the numbers and analytics are starting to prove that may not be the way to approach the game. But there's a slight difference between being aggressive and being stupid. And I just know Dan Campbell walks that line very tightly. I don't want to rig the process here, and I want to find out the answer. I am going to go against my previous stylings, I'm getting out of my comfort zone a little bit, but I'm not going all the way. Give me a 6.
A 6. So the teams that are in tier 6 in terms of fourth down aggressiveness last season, the Carolina Panthers, the Los Angeles Rams, the Washington Commanders, and the New York Jets. Jets.
Oh, no.
Aaron Glenn.
It keeps happening.
The Jets are finding you. The Jets want you so much. They said, we need fans. We're hemorrhaging fandom here in this town. Preston Thorne, please love us. Please.
I think that's the 5th match with the Jets and the Commanders. They're right together.
That is match number 4 for both.
Yes. Okay,
so that
4.
puts that ties them for the lead. That is 4 for the Commanders, 4 for the Jets. You have a few Carolina Panthers. You're 3rd for the Panthers too, and you're 3rd for the Rams.
Were the Lions was Dan Campbell in the 8th category?
Oh, you already know, brother. You already know. You didn't need me to tell you. It was the Lions, Bears, Eagles, and Cowboys. Those were the most. So Brian Schottenheimer, Nick Sirianni, Ben Johnson, of course Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell disciple, and Dan Campbell, the most fourth down aggressive head coaches in the National Football League last season. Dan Campbell being number 1.
Where did the Chargers fall in that category?
The Chargers in that category were in tier 3. At the lower end, meaning that's almost almost the bottom of the barrel in terms of active head coaches that are returning.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take away the first year head coaches and take away guys like Mike McCarthy and Robert Saleh, who have coached other places and have been hired, your retreads, your John Harbaughs, your Los Angeles Chargers may be the most conservative teams in the National Football League. Jim Harbaugh is one of the more conservative coaches.
That makes sense. That aggregates. Again, the game is changing. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of data that says, hey, you need to go for it. I am for going forward on the plus side. I definitely think that's something, even though that calculus might be also changing because the field goal kickers are getting so good that maybe you just settle for a 65-yard field goal.
If you're the Jacksonville Jaguars and you have Cam Little as your kicker and he was banging home 70-yarders in the preseason.
Maybe the 60-yarder is in play. So that's why I love the game of football, because it's always changing. The calculus is always running. I tend to lean more conservative, but I do understand where the game is going.
I love the game of football because it's a game of decisions, and those are important decisions. And there's nothing that irks me more than the surrender punt, which is when you are at midfield or maybe just a little bit past midfield and you decide to punt and it's less than like 4th and 10.
You know what I consider the surrender punt? When you punt it away hoping that you're going to get another stop on defense. That is the one that bothers me. Like, no, you have the ball right now.
Yes, thank you.
Just try. Let's try it right now. The idea of, maybe we're down 5. We're going to punt it away for them. There's 3 minutes left in the game. We're going to punt it away and hope that we get the ball back. It's like that usually does not work.
Let me tell you. I left the Superdome last October when the Saints played the Patriots, about as mad at a head coach as I've ever been in my life because Kellen Moore surrender punted in that situation. It was like a 4th and 6. There's a little more than 2 minutes left in the game. They're down 7. And they have not been able to stop Drake May in that offense all day long. They're near midfield. What do? They punted, and they only had like 2 timeouts left. And I am sitting in my chair in the Superdome screaming, there's no guarantee you're going to get the ball back. And guess who didn't touch the ball the rest of the game? The New Orleans Saints. Guess who got 2 first downs and ended the game? The New England Patriots. Put the fate of your team in your hands, in your quarterback's hands.
Yeah, I don't like that punt.
It made me so mad. It's the only time I was really mad at Kellen Moore last year, his first year as head coach of my favorite football team.
Live production meeting right here. Mark it down. I want us to do maybe the top 5 punts that we hate, types of punts that we hate when we do our special team show.
Yes. Oh, that's great. To me, yeah, that is one of them. The rolling the dice, that's what conventional football wisdom tells you, is that the risk is going for a 4th down. To me, the bigger risk is assuming you're going to get the ball back. Just assuming, saying, hey, we'll get a 3 and out, we'll get the ball back. You don't know that. And in that game, in particular, the one that I just alluded to, you hadn't stopped Drake May all game. Who's to say that they're going to just run the ball up the middle 3 times? And guess what they didn't do? Run the ball up the middle 3 times. Because all Drake May had to do is complete one 7-yard pass, move the chains.
Yeah.
Ball game. You don't get the ball back. I hate the surrender punt. That one in particular, to me, not a winner. But we have plenty of winners to get to you on today's show, brought to you by the Golden Spur, coming up next here in the early game.
Can't do it. I want winners. Winners.
And we'll give you those winners, Coach. Every day we do. Brought to you by the Golden Spur, our winners of the day's show. And the easiest one for me, Preston Thorne, this is the layup. The Venn diagram.
Yes.
Big winner. Got a lot of run today.
Multiple Venn diagrams crossing paths today, whether it was the game stealer, backup quarterback, name game, coach firer.
Dylan Thompson in one of those Jason Browns and the coach firer. Coach killer, part of the Venn diagram between game stealer, backup quarterback, coach killer. Jason Brown, right there.
Obligatory winner, wins a lot, and it's just what it is. Sometimes you are just who you think you are. JP Vision, Jefferson Pilot Vision. If you ever want to look up some old games from the early aughts and just realize that standard definition was trash, and this is even a step below standard def. This is JP Vision.
A little bit different.
When you see those games, it's like, man, I cannot even make this out.
This is Minecraft.
It's funny because we played the Eric Kimry play, the fade. And
it was faded.
Oh, it was faded, all right. Poor Jen had no idea what she was looking at. She's like, I'm banking on Dave Neal's call to tell me if that was a catch or not, because you could not tell on the standard def on that screen what exactly was happening on that play.
Yeah, not many things we take more for granted than standard def. And this has happened in my lifetime.
You know what's crazy?
My late lifetime.
I was really young during, the Jefferson Pilot sports days, but I would always watch games on Saturday on JP. And I had no complaints at that age. I thought it was just fine. I could see just fine. And I pull up the footage now, and it looks like somebody recorded it with a toaster.
Yeah. It's very tough to look at. I'm going to give a winner to who I think is becoming maybe my personal philosopher of the age, and that was the African man who said, corruption is good if I am a part of it. I defend it because I am an ardent critic of cronyism and nepotism. And maybe it's just because I haven't been a part of it enough. Because Michael Lombardi, come on down. Not only the nepotism is strong, but the cronyism is strong. It's gotten you $1.5 million on repeat, and you, sir, managed to blow that still. Cronyism and nepotism, winners if you can get it, if you can get in on it.
Because if you can, you defend it.
I defend it.
All of that. Think about all of what the University of North Carolina has gone through with their football program. The hiring of Bill Belichick, people clearly being, I remember at the time, I filled in one of the mornings, and it was like the week that it happened. I remember talking about it on air, and I said, this is going to fail miserably. This is not going to work. Everybody else in the national media, I'd say 90%, said this is probably not going to work. Then you have the Jordan Hudson stuff, which is creepy.
Still ongoing.
Still ongoing. Still equally creepy now as it was then. It is not aged any differently. No pun intended. It's not aged any differently now than it has then in terms of creepiness. And then we're going to make this the 33rd NFL team. It's not usually a good philosophy to go by when it comes to winning college football games. We're going to hire Michael Lombardi, who's never been a GM in college or the NFL, $1.5 million to be our general manager. The highest in the history of college football. First year, you go 4-8. You don't impress people with your offseason this year. And now that cronyism is getting Michael Lombardi on paid administrative leave because of an HR complaint.
I just had a Spider-Man meme. Mike Lombardi, Mike Shula. Nepotism, strong.
Strong. Very strong within them.
The way I got there was, who had a better first drive of the season? Was it UNC or South Carolina?
Oh, which Carolina school? Oh,
who felt
man.
better going after that first drive?
You know what? What's funnier is the fact that North Carolina did go on that methodical first drive of the game. That place is bumping. Roy Williams is there. Michael Jordan is there. Skip Bayless is starting to tweet that they're going to win the national championship. All of this is happening. And TCU scored 41 unanswered points after that?
On defensive coordinator who?
Steve, the Pirate? No, not Steve the Pirate. Steve Belichick. That's right, Steve Belichick.
Nepotism for the win.
Daddy ball capital of America was Chapel Hill, North Carolina. So not only that, not only the Bill Belichick stuff, not only Michael Lombardi and that type of cronyism and nepotism, 4-8. And now this has happened. I cannot imagine, I can't think that this could have been any worse.
Which leads me to I've already stated that, and we're here, so I'm going to do it. I've already stated that September 19th is the biggest game of Shane Beamer's life. You know who plays North Carolina on September 19th? The Clemson Tigers. Biggest game of Dabo Swinney's life.
You cannot lose that.
You lose that game to them, you're out of here, sir.
You cannot
You're
lose
gonna get
that.
fired.
In this profession, you'll get fired. You lose that
September
game?
19th, huge day in the Palmetto State.
Oh, for different reasons. Similar reasons, but different reasons. Oh, and guess what else is that day? The bloodthirstiest game in college football history between LSU and Ole Miss.
Oh, what a day.
We're counting down the days till the season starts. I'm counting down the days until that day happens. That is when the season starts for me. Those are Winners of the Day show brought to you by Golden Spur. Jack Veltri, Tyler Head, The Extra Point. Always winners, always next.